Imagine standing on the surface of the moon, wearing a huge, bulky spacesuit. Your gloves are thick and stiff, and yet you are supposed to take some of the most important photographs in human history. Sounds almost impossible, right? When humans first landed on the moon during the Apollo 11 moon landing in 1969, astronauts captured many famous photographs. But when NASA later revealed the camera used for those photos, many people were surprised. The camera was the Hasselblad 500 EL. Now here's where the mystery started. Some people argued that this camera was extremely complicated. It had focus rings, shutter buttons, and detailed controls. Critics began asking a serious question. How could astronauts operate such a complex camera while wearing thick spacesuit gloves? This question became fuel for conspiracy theories. One well-known conspiracy theorist, Ralph Rene, even tried to demonstrate the problem with an experiment. He built a vacuum chamber to simulate space conditions. Then he placed his hand inside the chamber while wearing thick gloves. What happened next was interesting. Inside the vacuum chamber, it became extremely difficult to move fingers with precision. Even small movements were hard to control. Rene argued that if simple finger movements were this difficult, then pressing a camera trigger or adjusting focus would be almost impossible in space. For many conspiracy believers, this experiment seemed like proof. But the real explanation is much simpler. Yes, the Hasselblad camera was complex on Earth. However, the version used on the moon was specially modified for lunar missions. NASA engineers redesigned the camera so astronauts could easily use it with their spacesuits. First, the camera was mounted directly onto the astronaut's chest. Instead of holding it with their hands, astronauts simply aimed their body toward the subject. Second, the shutter button was made much larger. This allowed astronauts to press it easily, even with stiff gloves. And third, the focus ring was modified with larger ridges and controls. This made it possible to rotate and adjust the focus using bulky gloves. In other words, the camera wasn't a normal Earth camera anymore. It had been engineered specifically for space. And thanks to those modifications, astronauts successfully captured some of the most iconic photographs ever taken. Images that showed humanity standing on another world for the very first time. So the next time you see those historic moon photos, remember something incredible. They weren't just photographs.